We're live.
Huh?
We are live.
Okay.
Time to start the meeting.
Oh, or what time is it?
It is 5:01.
Oh, okay, let's go. Adoption of agenda. Is there any additions?
Nope.
Okay, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Bryce?
Moved.
Call the question. Those in favor? Carried. Minutes of previous meeting, June 22nd. Is there any corrections? Anything to make note of? No. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes of June 22nd? Syed? Call the question. Those in favor? Carried. Business arising from the minutes. Anything? No? Okay, let's move on to 4A, page 15, Allen and Carly Ton, variance of standards.
Okay, so the purpose of this report is for the MPC to consider an application for variances to the front yard, side yard, and rear yard setback of a semi-detached dwelling. This is Unit 7 of Plan 07400548. It's a condo in the southwest. In September 2011, the landowner who built this, I believe, received a variance to the front and side yard setbacks to 7.44 meters for the front yard and 3.0 and 2.99 meters for the side yard. On February 10th, the planning department received a request for compliance of this year, and the development officer reviewed the real property report and the land-based file and noted that the setbacks from the front yard and the rear yard were short of the required amount. So I gave you all of the land use bylaw requirements. So as per the real property report that was prepared by Don Wilson, the front yard setback from the semi-detached is 7.4, and it was varied in 2011 to 7.44. And as such, a 1.3% variance is required. The rear yard is 4.7 meters from the dwelling and 5.58 from the deck, requiring a 37 and 25.6 variances for the rear yard. And then the side yard has three different measurements because there's a piece that sticks out. So 2.63, 2.94, and 2.98. And as such, 41.5%, 34.6%, and 33.7% variances are required. And so in accordance with section 13, 9, F and H, the development officer has variance powers for the front and rear yards up to 15 and for the side yard up to 20%, except where the side yard abuts a street or avenue, and then the DO has no variance power. In accordance with that same section, under I and J, the MPC may grant a variance to the front and rear yard setback requirements to a maximum of 30% and to the side yard a maximum of 40%, unless, once again, that side yard abuts a street or avenue, and then it may only grant a variance of up to 5%. So as the required variance to the rear yard is over 30%, the MPC must refuse it. And as the required variances to the side yard are more than 5%, the MPC must refuse the requested variance. It should be noted that this property is adjacent to 6th Avenue Southwest, and as such, neighboring properties shouldn't be impacted with these. So our recommendation is that this is larger than you guys can approve, and it must be refused and then referred on to the SDAB.
Yeah, because it looks like most of the issue is with the corner cuts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is sad because the rest of the lot looks really good.
Well, other than the deck in the rear yard.
Yeah.
But yes,
How high is the deck?
I have no idea. That doesn't matter to me how high it is. It's how much it protrudes into the backyard.
Yeah, but there's a point where in height where it goes from being a patio to being.
It's a deck.
Right? It's
Yeah.
a deck. Okay.
Yeah. When it's a deck, it's required to have railings on the side. When it's a patio, it's not.
So we have to refuse everything, or is
Everything.
some of this,
No.
it's everything?
If you can't approve the whole thing, you can't approve it.
Has it changed? Like, is this something different than what was originally put in? Because I didn't notice that they had changed anything since they built them in, what, 07, 08?
Yes, so what I understand is that nothing has changed from then. But how surveying is done has become better. And so measurements are more accurate than they were previously. And in the previous RFPR that was done, there was no decks shown on any of the units.
And you have the previous RPR?
I have a previous RPR from 2011.
So how has the side yards changed from the previous RPR to this, other than the decks?
I would have to look at the file, but if I remember correctly, it was not a huge significant amount, but I can't give a variance on a variance.
Yeah,
And so you have to go from the original numbers. But they, like I said, the front yard was 7.44 that was approved on the previous one. And it was 7.4 there. Oh, this is where it is. It's at 3 meters and 3.0 and 2.99 meters on the side yard for that particular compliance. And now it's measuring at 2.63, 2.94, and 2.98.
So it's just the difference of one surveyor to another surveyor, basically?
Yeah.
And these were, because I don't
And
think any of
dates.
these have changed over the years.
No,
There's the same
I would
darn
agree.
deck that have been there from the beginning.
Well, if I remember correctly, I saw this before. It's the same property where they were measuring from the cantilever and the other one was not taking that into consideration. Is that correct? I believe. I think I saw this about two months ago.
This was for, why did it come? This was a different property that came forward for, but in the same area, right?
I think it was the same one.
The same one?
I think, but I think it was in regards to how the, when they measured it, they didn't really take into consideration the cantilever. Whereas the other one did.
Why you saw this before, because it came to council because they wanted the fees waived.
Okay.
I was trying to remember how you've seen this before, but yes, that would be it. So it wasn't necessarily about the cantilever. I'm just trying to see what it says here on the RPR. Because usually it tells you if they've gone from the foundation or, because the cantilever was there in the previous.
It was there.
RPR.
It was just the way the two surveyors, when they measured it,
Yeah.
their report was done slightly differently. So it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I said, they've become more accurate in how they're able to survey with their equipment. And sometimes that makes it change in numbers.
well, we've had our house surveyed 3 times since it's been built, and every time the survey is different.
Yeah.
I guess my other question is if we don't physically, per our land use bylaw, have the authority to approve this, why does it even come to the MPC?
Because I have to bring it forward to you guys to refuse. Because I can't say in order for it to go to the SDB to be heard as an appeal, it needs to be refused from an authority figure.
Okay.
I don't have the authority to say it's refused for you guys. So if
Because
I
it's
can't
not-
refuse
it's
it,
not
it
within
has
your
to come to
discretion,
you
okay.
guys next to be refused to go to the SDAB.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so
But did you say at the beginning that if we agreed to all of it, that it's
no,
okay?
no,
Oh, okay.
no.
Misunderstood.
Unless all of it was within our authority,
Yeah.
we have to refuse all of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even if only one is within our authority, it's part of the whole motion. So we
Right.
have to refuse everything.
Exactly.
We can't split it up
If-
into, we can't split it up into different
We
motions.
can't split it up because the application has not been split up.
Oh,
It,
okay.
it depends on how the applicant brings it
Yeah.
forward. And because they brought forward for all of the variances, it has to be approved under one permit.
But they
Yeah.
have another one later on too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the other
that's just
unit.
for the front and back.
Yeah,
They're not grandfathered in?
no, variances are not ever grandfathered.
No.
Okay.
But once it gets to SDAB
Mhm.
and they make a decision on it, then it's in the file.
Then it's approved and
And
it's
it's
an approved development until such time as it's no longer
Yeah.
there.
No, I just thought, seeing as it went through the variance approvals at the beginning and nothing has changed. Why?
Previously didn't have the deck on there. That's the biggest thing on these,
Deck has
is the difference, is that there's no deck on the previous RPR that was seen. So it was not a full accurate statement of what was on property.
Okay, so we know what we have to do, but we need a motion in the positive.
I will make
Bryce?
that motion as written there on page 17 and 18 of our package.
Okay, call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Defeated.
Okay. Another fun one. So,
You know, it's, we have to go through the steps and
Yes, we do.
unfortunately,
yep,
personally for myself, I'd approve it, but it's not personally for me.
yeah.
Okay,
So number
4B, page
Yes.
23.
So the purpose of this report is for the MPC to consider relocatable industrial camp facility, which is a discretionary use in the M1 Light Industrial District. This is coming from Complete Waste Solutions at 200A Caribou Trail. Lori's given you this, all the sections of the land use bylaw that with regard to bunkhouses and the M1. So some history. In and around March of this year, the applicant moved a bunkhouse onto the subject site without benefit of a development permit. The planning department received a complaint and then actually we received a couple of complaints and then contacted the landowner and advised that an application was required to be submitted. The complete development application, permit application package, including the bunkhouse regulations, was sent to the applicant. And an application was submitted and subsequently refused as the application was not complete. On June 12th, a second application was received, however, again, incomplete. But on June 17th, the planning department sent a letter to the applicant advising that the additional information that was required and notifying them that a complete application, if a complete application was not received by June 25th, a stop order would be issued. And a complete application was then received on June 25th. The proposed bunkhouse is comprised of 7 sleeping units. The bunkhouse has been placed at the rear of the industrial shop on site. However, is currently located too close to the shop and will need to be relocated in order to meet the minimum 2-meter separation distance. That said, there's plenty of room on site to ensure the appropriate setbacks are maintained. Please note that the required separation distance for camp facilities shall be in accordance with the applicable provincial codes, which is 2 meters. The required amenity area is to be a minimum of 2 meters in width for the entire length of the camp facility. They have proposed an amenity area shown in green on the site plan, which appears to be the same dimensions as the regulations, 2 meters for the length of the bunkhouse. That site dimensions were not included on the site plan, and as such, if approved, the conditions will stipulate the required dimensions of the required amenity area. The required parking ratio is 1 stall for every potential employee occupying the camp facility. And in accordance with the land use bylaw, the required stalls are to be 9 feet in width and 20 feet long. As per the site plan, the applicant provided 6 parking stalls that are 8 feet wide and 10 feet long, and concrete blocks are being placed in the front of each stall. Although the applicant has not shown 7 parking stalls on the site plan, there's plenty of room on site for 7. Further, although the parking regulations require a 9 by 20 foot stall dimension, the site plan has been drawn with 8 by 10 foot stalls. Again, if approved, the conditions will stipulate the required stall dimensions and the required number of parking stalls. Servicing plan. In accordance with the land use bylaw, each camp facility shall be separately serviced with water, sanitary sewer, power, and heat. The proposed bunkhouse will be connected to power only. Each of the rooms has an electric heater. The applicant has indicated that the bunkhouse has forced air heat. However, he has indicated the bunkhouse is only serviced with power, so our assumption is that the forced air heat will not be utilized. The applicant has indicated that the unit will only contain sleeping units, and as such, the bunkhouse does not provide washrooms or kitchen facilities. The applicant also indicated that the occupants will have access to the main building on site 24 hours a day for a washroom and cooking facilities. Once the application has been approved, the planning department will proceed with the required inspection, which includes the fire chief, health inspector, building codes officer, and the development officer. And occupancy will be permitted after the inspection. That said, the bunkhouse has been occupied for quite some time, i.e. approximately March, without the benefit of the required inspections. This application was referred to the health inspector and the fire chief, and to date, verbal comments have only been received from the health inspector. Our recommendation, the planning department has quite a few concerns about this application. First and foremost, we have been in ongoing contact with the applicant for over a 4-month period and have made many attempts to obtain the requisite application and information. The bunkhouse remains occupied and the applicant appears indifferent and uninterested in meeting the requirements or obtaining the appropriate approval. The applicant indicated that no washroom facilities will be provided in the bunkhouse and only sleeping quarters. After discussion with the local health inspector, Mallory Hamid, revealed that the bunkhouse must be supplied with hot and cold running water with hand washing facilities and laundry facilities. We have attached her email regarding that. Further, our regulations require that the bunkhouse be fully serviced with water, sanitary sewer, power, and gas or propane. The MPC has approved bunkhouses with self-contained water and sanitary sewer holding tanks that are plumbed into the bunkhouse. However, this unit appears to have no plumbing whatsoever. So based on the application submitted, the planning department feels the bunkhouse cannot meet with the requirements of the land use bylaw or with the Public Health Act, and as such, the application should be refused. As motions must be in the positive, we have provided a positive motion with the standard conditions. If the NPC agrees with the recommendation of administration, the motion shall be defeated.
Okay, so this lot is huge.
It absolutely is huge.
Now, if they were to relocate the bunkhouse so that setbacks would be adhered to, offer all the appropriate hookups, which they haven't. So if we were to refuse it, they would have to come back with another development permit.
And pay another fee, right?
Or remove it.
Or remove it. So if we refuse it and they relocate it and do all the appropriate stuff, then they would have to come back with, apply under a new permit. And then it goes through all of this again.
Having had discussions with Jason, they would have to invest in retrofitting these bunkhouses. There is no plumbing at all in them.
So they were advised of the expectations around plumbing setbacks in the past, still put in the permit as is.
Yep.
So can't we, I mean, I would hate to see Mr. DeChamplain have to spend more money. Can't we approve it subject to following all regulations inside of our land use bylaw? So that way it gives him the option, if he does adhere to it, he doesn't have to come back and reapply and spend another $1,000.
It's not that, oh, right, it is $1,000 for this application.
Yeah.
Like, could we give them 30 days to?
You could, however, the health inspector has already indicated that she won't approve it.
Yes, but I guess we would give approval subject to all those things being met. And then the ball's in his court. And that way, if he does want to retrofit it properly, he doesn't have to put in another $1,000.
I understand where you're coming from. However, he has not cooperated on this front at all. We have drugged him to this process 100% of the way. And I don't feel it's.
Well, but it's coming from MPC.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's because, and at that point, if we did approve it that way, he could either choose to comply and then meet the requirements, and the development authority and the different authorities could come take a look at it. Okay, great, it meets the regulation.
Within a certain time frame.
Yeah, within a certain time frame. Or he could then take that and he could appeal those conditions to the SDAB, correct?
Absolutely.
So then he has two different options.
Yeah, so,
I agree with Bryce.
yeah, I'm kind of leaning.
That would be my preference where to go. So that way it gives him the option to comply. And then if he chooses not to meet the regulations in here and he's out his $1,000, then I guess so be it at that point. But
So just so you're
But he's been
aware,
given plenty of opportunity to comply. and
we've
hasn't.
given him plenty of opportunity to comply, as Dan said, as well as this could be a legal fight for the town then, because we would have to go through a stop order to push on the conditions of the permit,
Okay,
just so
so,
you're aware.
but if we defeat the motion, you still have to do a stop order on them, right?
No.
So what do you do?
We say that his permit has been refused, and then he can either reapply or disconnect and remove the bunkhouse. But I don't have to go through a stop order unless he
Yeah.
refuses to do that.
So there's the other challenge is that if within that certain time frame he refuses to adhere to all the rules, then to meet all the standards, then the town has to spend the money to invoke a stop order.
We risk that regardless, though. We risk that whether he chooses to, if we refuse and he has to move it anyways, we risk that regardless, do we not? That possibility?
So if we defeat it, you inform him that he has to remove the facility. He doesn't do that, then what's the town's recourse? Issue a stop order?
Then it is issue a stop order,
Okay,
yes.
so either way, we have to issue a stop order if he doesn't meet
If he,
the criteria.
yes, but in the meantime, he's using it without proper health authorities approving it.
Yeah,
Well, I guess, are they using it right now? But technically, it's not supposed to be
That's
used
right.
regardless.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that shows like he's non.
it shows a disregard for the
Yes,
authorities.
it does, but I mean, if we approve it subject to those conditions, it doesn't give him a right to use it until those conditions are met regardless.
He
I guess
still
what I'm saying.
will.
He
But
may,
yes, yeah,
he may
you're
still,
absolutely right.
still may or may not. I don't want to speculate, but yeah.
No, he's told me that he will. That's why I say that.
Okay.
But this is your guys' platform. So if you want to approve it, subject to conditions that they have to be met by a certain date.
subject to all the conditions.
Yeah.
But like in the meantime,
But
it's,
that, within that time frame, until he meets all the conditions, then the camp house shall remain empty.
Well, it's supposed to be empty today, yesterday. It's not anybody's supposed to be in it regardless. So if we gave them a 30 days to meet those conditions, nobody's still supposed to be in there regardless.
So why is this company requiring a bunkhouse? A camp facility?
I did not ask that question.
Is it for all of his employees or is there other people that are staying there?
As far as I understand, it's only employees.
Well, it should only be for employees, right?
Yes.
And we don't have any information on that as to who's actually.
He did
There's
give me a
one
name.
guy, there's a name
He
in
told me
here.
that there was just one guy in there at present. When he can rehire more guys, they'll go back in there. But he had up to 7 in there. The guy's name that's in there right now
Matt
is
Timchak.
Matt. Yeah.
That's the road I'd like to go. I'd like to give him the opportunity to fix it, right? So that way he doesn't have to come back, spend the extra $1,000 and then the ball's in his court. That would be my preference for what to do.
Mine too.
Me too.
So you want to make that motion?
Okay, so I will make a motion to that effect. I don't know exactly how I should.
Make the motion and we'll have some more discussion.
Okay,
So I would suggest that if you want to put a deadline on it, that it be within that first portion, subject to the following conditions by a certain date.
I will make a motion that we approve the bunkhouse, subject to all land use bylaw requirements and all other codes and authorities being met by, what would be an appropriate date?
Today's the 16th.
16th, August 31st?
I would say August 15th.
Is that enough time to get,
Well, that's what I was thinking. That way, if he wants to go to appeal to the land use, or sorry, to the SDAB, it gives him a little bit of time to do so, because that takes a while to get everybody together. People are on holidays right now. So,
wouldn't we have to reject it for him to go there?
So
Well,
he could,
he could appeal some of the conditions of it, though, to the
Yeah.
SDAB. So he could either choose to follow the conditions, is my understanding, or he could appeal the conditions that are in place of the land use bylaw,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
you're saying August, what's the last day of August?
31st.
Well, I'm
It's a
just
Monday.
concerned, I know people are on holidays and getting everybody together to have an SDAB meeting. If that's the way he chooses to go, it gives him time.
Yeah,
And then he doesn't have to worry and then worry about, losing $1,000. The ball's in his court. Gives
So
him,
an SDAB meeting will be happening
Pardon?
regardless because of the previous application.
okay?
so they'll have two. Yeah, we'll just give them all to them.
So. So you're saying August 31st?
That's the date I'll go with, yes. But very clearly subject to these conditions. So as the way it is today,
Yeah.
it would not be suitable as a bunkhouse until it meets the requirements of our land use bylaw.
Yeah.
Or the regulations.
If he chooses to go the SDAB way and they refuse it, then the only thing he can do is pull it. He can't come back to MPC then.
No.
So then it's done.
The only way he could bring it back to MPC is to wait 6 months to bring the application forward
Yeah.
again.
But if SDAB refuses it and then he turns around and says, okay, well, I'll meet all the conditions at the MPC level. He can't do that.
Not if the SDAB has already refused it.
Yeah, okay. So that's something that he has to weigh and he has to be made aware of.
Yep. He will
If
be.
he doesn't meet the conditions at the MPC level, decides to go to SDAB and they refuse it, saying they agree with our conditions, they refuse his request, then he can't come back to MPC or to Sam and say,
So he'd have to
okay,
put in a-
now I'm going to meet your conditions.
So would he be
He has
exempt?
to wait 6
He has to wait
months.
6 months, or could he put in another application saying, I will follow all these requirements?
No, the land use bylaw states once,
6 months.
All right.
once an application has been refused, they have to wait 6 months
Okay.
to be reheard again.
Okay,
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
all right.
Good with that.
Otherwise it bogs down the process.
As long as Mr. de Champlain is aware of that.
Yeah, he will be. He'll be informed.
So when do you enforce the stop order then? If it's.
Well, that would not happen until after August 31st when he's been not compliant.
September
Or if
Yes.
it gets turned down by SDABs and.
Only if he applies to the SDAB, because if he doesn't bother to apply to the SDAB,
So if a stop order is enforced or applied for, can the applicant still come after 6 months with a new application? There's a stop order.
technically, yes, he can still come again after 6 months. Because he has the right to put in an application.
In the meantime, it needs to sit empty or be pulled off the site.
And either way, be moved
Yeah,
more than 2 meters away from
yeah.
the shop.
Okay. Anything?
So the motion that you're putting forward, does that include saying that the facility should not be used or?
So one of the conditions in there, where was it? I just saw, camp facility shall only be occupied by the employees of the business where the camp facility is approved to be located.
Okay, do we have that in the motion?
That's in here. That's what I'm reading from.
Okay,
I think Syed's referring to,
Oh, here it is.
is anybody allowed to be in there right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it says
Even if the
occupancy
conditions
of
are
the
not
camp
met,
facility.
so does the motion include that the facility should not be occupied?
So yes, so under number 25, it says occupancy of the camp facility will not be permitted until the facility has been inspected and approved by all authorities until all conditions of this development permit have been met with the exception of the amenity area.
So it still does not give him
Right.
approval to have people in there until
right.
all of this is met and it's been inspected.
Exactly.
Sounds-
August 31st at the latest.
Mm-hmm.
If he really wants to meet all of the requirements, he could do it within 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Mhm.
whatever, but no later than August 31st.
Yeah.
Okay. Dan, you have anything? No.
Yeah, this one.
Pardon?
I don't have anything else, no.
Say Ed, anything else to say?
No,
No,
I'm good.
Bryce, Audrey? No. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Call the question. Those in favor? 4, and 1 opposed. Carried. Um, 4C, page 42, Ali and Carleton. Another one?
Yes, this is their other unit. They're condos, but they're done in like a duplex style and they own both sides. So the purpose of this report is for the MPC to consider an application for a variance to the front yard and rear yard setback of the semi-detached dwelling, which is unit 6, which is also number 102 at 600 6th Street Southwest. I've given you all the land use bylaw regulations in accordance with this. So in 2011, the landowner received a variance to the front yard and side yard setbacks to 7.44 meters for the front yard and 1.44 meters to the side yard. On February 10th, the planning department received a request for their compliance certificate in which the development officer reviewed the RPR and the land-based file noted that the setbacks for the front yard and rear yard were short of the required amount. In accordance with these sections of the land use bylaw, they have to be 7.5 meters for the front and rear yard setbacks. As per the RPR by Don Wilson, the front yard setback of the semi-detached was measured at 7.41 meters, and as such, a 1.2% variance is required. And the rear yard setback from the unenclosed deck of the semi-detached dwelling is 5.62 meters, and as such, a 25% variance is required. In accordance with section 13, the development officer has variance powers to the front and rear yards of up to 15%. And as the required variance for the rear yard is 25%, the MPC must consider it. Also, since the MPC is reviewing the rear yard variance request, they must also consider the front yard variance request, even though it is within the development officer's authority. So we have no concerns with this application and feel it won't have any impact and it should be approved.
Okay. Well, I'll make that motion. Is there any discussion? No. Call the question. Those in favor?
Okay. So the purpose of this report is for the MPC to consider an application for an occupying space for a recreational establishment minor, i.e. Alberta AB Taekwondo at 321 Main Street Northeast. This is a discretionary use in DC1. The applicant has been looking for a new space for his Taekwondo school for some time now, as he has outgrown his current space. He has rented the old yoga studio in the Potpourri Mall and feels it will be a good fit for his school. He's indicated that he will have one fascia sign at the front of the building that is 2 feet by 8 feet, which is the same size as all the other signage on the front of the building and is less than the 25% maximum coverage allowed. We have no concerns with this application at this time and recommend that the NPC approve it.
So that's, the yoga studio's shut down?
Yeah.
Oh,
As
shoot.
of the end of June, I believe.
Yeah?
The
Maybe-
yoga one probably shut down somewhere in the middle of COVID, like March.
They were having a hard
I was
time.
gonna say, I shouldn't say that. It didn't reopen after COVID allowed it to
Oh.
reopen.
Okay. Okay, can I get a motion?
Just curious, where is he located right now, sorry?
He is located in, I don't know what the address is, but the building where BrokerLink is.
Okay,
Opposite
there.
to Speedy's.
okay, in there, okay, all right.
That must be an old dance studio.
Yeah.
In that spot too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the floor is all raised.
yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Those in favor? Carried.
Purpose of this report is for the MPC to consider an application for a type E home-based business, i.e. SP Beauty within the R1 standard detached dwelling district. I've given you all the regulations there for the land use bylaw on home-based businesses. The planning department reviewed this application and the applicant wishes to operate a salon business in her home. The goal is to keep the business small with a maximum of 5 clients per day. The applicant will use a room in her single detached home where equipment utilized for the provision of services will be set up and stored. The applicant has indicated that her clients will arrive one at a time and that she anticipates only 3 or 4 clients per day. There is no detached garage on site, and so the use will not extend to outside buildings. The front driveway can facilitate parking for 2 vehicles, and the applicant has indicated there would be plenty of room to accommodate 1 on-site parking for clients, as they also have parking in the attached garage. The applicant will be the only person working employed by this business on site, and the business will operate a maximum of 7 hours per day, with the hours of operation being Tuesday to Friday, 10 to 5 p.m. And there are no other home-based businesses on the site. And as such, our recommendation is because the proposed home-based business meets with the regulations of the land use bylaw and also meets with policy statements of the MDP with respect to growing and diversifying the business community. We have no concerns with this application and recommend the MPC approve development permit 460720.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? No, Audrey made the motion, called the question. Those in favor? Carried. That's it for development permit applications. 5A, page 71, application to amend the MDP.
Yes. Okay, so the purpose of this report is for the MPC to provide council with a recommendation with respect to bylaw 19-2020. The proposal is to redesignate the above noted lands of civic address of 125 6th Ave Northwest from residential to general urban, residential and general urban to downtown commercial to provide the landowner with a greater number of development opportunities for the site. The MDP, of course, has it designated as residential and general urban. The area structure plan, the downtown plan, already designates this as a commercial site, a mixed-use commercial site. And the site is not within the boundaries of the intermunicipal development plan. And the land use bylaw currently designates it as high-density residential, and an amendment will follow for the other bylaw. So this bylaw is being introduced to the MPC for recommendation to council with respect to bylaw 19-2020. As amendments to 2 different plans is required, both applications will proceed concurrently. The applicant has discussed with the realtor and the planning department options for development of the subject lands. And as a result, it was felt that rezoning the lands to C1 downtown commercial mixed use district provides more opportunities to the landowner with respect to potential development opportunities.
So what is it bounding? It's shares a common, what's 101 to 113? What's the zoning there?
That is
Is that
C1,
That's
and that is
C1?
also their property.
Okay, so what's on the property that they're wanting zoned? Is that
Nothing.
empty?
It's empty. It's next to the parking lot of EGW.
Okay, so E.G. Wallstrom is, there's a blue line going across. Okay,
So is it abuts the broker link building, right?
Yeah.
This lot, yeah.
And EG's at the back.
Yes, the Broker Link building is the 101 to 113.
Yeah.
And yes.
so it would extend the zoning of the downtown area. Do they plan on doing any type of development there, or they just want to sell it? Oh, okay,
In order to do the development, they need to have it changed to a commercial building.
okay.
I'm sorry, what did you say the Kern zoning is?
It is R3, which is high density residential.
Okay.
Anything but an apartment. That is multifamily.
So then that would change to it just being R3 just across the road, or is there a little piece somewhere in there that would remain R3 on the west part of that property? It looks like
No, there would be no R3 on that side.
okay, so, so the red area shows the property.
Yeah,
So between the red area and the blue line.
the
for
drive-through lane into the EGW site
Oh, okay. And what's that designation?
is part of the school, so it's institutional, I believe.
there may be an issue with that little piece.
But we would only be, yeah, I
Yeah,
understand what you're saying.
but it's just something that you guys may have to check into.
Mhm. It's right there.
Because it looks like the west property line of that property actually is more of a curb than an angled line.
Yeah,
And then it looks like there is a lane on the west side of that thick line. So is that the drive-in for E.G. Wallstrom?
I believe that whole area is, but just let me
Okay.
pull up the map.
The map on page 79, location map, is that,
Shows it as,
it's purple like the school?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
it's not on our, that's on our
The maps
GIS
right there
map.
might show it better. You all have maps in front of you from
Oh,
council
right, yes,
on the desks.
right here.
That might show it better.
This one is just an address map. It doesn't show the zoning though. But there's, that whole area is part of the school site. So I don't know why it's separated on our zoning map.
it's got that same blue line through it on that one.
So what's your
Okay.
concern, Shirley?
That the access is not zoned
What's your
property.
concern?
Distributional.
It just looks like on the map that I'm looking at, that the edge of that property has a curve to it, and then there's a space that could be some type of a zoning, so,
Okay.
yeah. So is it something that they own, or, like, it looks like just a sliver of property?
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah,
I would say that the map is divided up not quite correctly,
okay.
because that should be part of E.G. Wallstrom's
So what we
site.
approve here shouldn't be affected
No.
if there's anything that you guys need to take care of afterwards. For
Yes.
that other piece, okay. That was just my concern, that we
This one here
approve,
shows it as EGs, like the one with
Yeah.
purple.
but it's quite not the same as other maps.
I'm not finding the map where I want.
79.
Well, it's good that somebody's thinking
Oh,
about
yeah.
developing in the downtown.
Mhm.
This is how it looks.
Take that motion.
Right now. There's sort of an alleyway that goes to
Yeah.
school.
That the MPC supports bylaw 19-2020. Is there any more discussion? No. Call the question. Those in favor? Carried. And page 85B.
So the purpose of this report is for the MPC to provide council with recommendation with respect to bylaw 2020, which is to rezone the noted lands from R3 to C1 within this area, same area.
I'll make that motion again.
Okay.
Any discussion? No. Call the question. Those in favor? Carried.
Awesome.
Number 6, proposed subdivisions, nothing. Number 7, other business. Nothing. 8, MPC development concerns. Nothing. Number 9, meeting review, next meeting.
I guess I'll just ask, is there any development going on or anything interesting that in town right now? Just in general.
In general,
In general, I mean, because normally we get the bill, well, we haven't seen the building values. I mean, does that mean nothing's going
no
on?
houses have been built.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
that's not good.
it's not
But
good.
it's a unique year with COVID, so.
I believe I'm sitting at DP number 48 right now, which is
Yeah.
typically April.
Yeah,
Yes,
May, June,
COVID
July.
messed the whole year up.
yeah, everything is slower that way, but I have lots of other work that happens.
Yeah.
The lovely building on the highway is not got anything going in it. That's nice and colorful.
Yeah.
I've gotten many, many inquiries on that.
No permit for it? No plans?
Well, I've spoken to the landowner and he was like, it was boring and I wanted to change it so that it didn't look like A&W.
A&W is so boring.
So I was like, okay, if that's whatever.
Okay. Okay, so meeting review,
Okay.
what day are we looking at?
July 27th is our tentative meeting that is booked for the next one, and I already have 2 items for that.
Okay.
So it will
it's-
happen.
It's a definite meeting.
Yes.
Good.
So as a reminder, can people please respond to Sam and let her know whether or not you'll be at the meeting?
Yes.
Two.
That is appreciated greatly.
Yeah. She will appreciate you very much.
And
Okay, and adjournment.
Oh, right.
Meeting adjourned.
write that down. What time we adjourned? Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for showing up.
It should be in our calendar already.
One on mine, but
It's in
I don't
mine.
know why I didn't have